everyone. Welcome to our Thursday morning trading room. Well, you know, they say be careful what you wish for. I was wishing for more volatility in the market, and it looks like we certainly got that. Yesterday, the market actually got it in gear in the afternoon session and put in a very nice rally up to the 63.50 mark, where we expected the market to make a reversal. And look at what happened in the overnight. Boom. So we now have a rather substantial opening gap above the market. It'd be interesting to see whether traders try to reverse on that, because very often, if there's been a significant overnight trend, the market will try to reverse out of the open. That's a big gap, though. I don't know if we're going to get all the way into that, but that's a big gap. Big. Few early signals here. We got a trend change signal already here on the Falcon. We got a counter trend signal already here on the Raptor. Just lots going on right now. We'll give them a few minutes here to settle in. Oh, while I think of it, there's not going to be a trading room on Monday. I'm not going to be here on Monday, so you can make a little note on your calendar. No trading room on Monday. I'll remind you tomorrow again, of course. The Hawk now also producing a first micro-macro cross signal to the long side. You can see we're right into the hard edge of the trading band, however. And whenever we hit that hard edge, you should anticipate a reaction of some sort. The Hawk drifting into yellow bars, so we'll avoid that. The Falcon working on a possible late filter entry signal. Now, you know, normally I don't like to get into the market quite this early, but I might give this one a go just because of that rather large opening gap. Now, I'm anticipating the signal here. Sometimes the Falcon will actually produce 2 or 3, well, not usually 3, but sometimes it will produce 2 warning dots before it prints a signal. I'm getting a little bit aggressive on this, and right now it looks like the market may be tailing off anyway. right, well, we'll just park that for the moment. Here's the eagle now producing a green bar sell, so a little conflict between the signals on our various tools. All right, so here now the Falcon signal is complete. It is a late filter entry. Now, technically, the bars did go out of sync here for just one bar, and that's probably because I'm going to try to stretch this out before it gets too far. There we go. That's because probably this bar through here went one tick too low, or this looks like a fairly heavy volume bar. Something happened here to cause the trend line to change color, but only for one bar. If it changes color for 2 or 3 bars, I don't consider that a late filter entry any longer. However, if it changes color for just one bar, I may ignore it. Just be advised that technically it is not a true late filter entry signal. What time is it? Oh, we're only 7 minutes into the session, so this is pretty aggressive for me. Looking to grab some of that early momentum. If we still have early momentum, what happened to it? Let's go. Yeah, that darn hard edge. Look at that. Yeah, Mark says, I'm hesitant to do anything yet, still waiting for the market to give a clear picture of direction, and that's normally me too. You know, a lot of times I'm quite content sitting on my hands for an hour. Well, the bullish follow through has fallen pretty flat. And I haven't totally given up on the buyers yet, but we're getting opposing signals now. So a trend change signal here in the Falcon, cloud crossover signal here in the Raptor, and of course the Eagle already with the hard edge bounce signal there. So I may have got myself stuck on the wrong side of this trade. low of the morning, and the sellers are quite strong. Yeah. Well, there you go. Counter trend trade again, costing me money again. Well, I guess the market is not into filling that gap, not yet anyway. All right, well, I dug myself a little bit of a hole here. Got to try to get out of that one. Another first micro-macro cross lower. Of course, the first in-sync eagle signal today, working out very nicely also. I think we can probably agree the market is in a downtrend today. Richard's asking, now that you're in a hole, how aggressive are you, or are you focusing only on high quality trades with little risk? I'm still focusing on the high quality trades. I think the best opportunity for me now will be, now that the trend is down, well, I can either just hop it on board and try to hang on, or I can look for a little bit of a pullback to try to take advantage of. This signal here on the Falcon would have been a nice little pullback signal to get on board with, this being a trendline touch signal, essentially just a bear flag. And you know, it's trading as usual, but I may look at trying to, instead of taking 2 or 3 trades today, I may look at taking 4, just to try to earn back that initial loss that I took. See here now on the hawk, I'm going to get a 4-arrow consolidation and perhaps a little bit of a macro pullback. So we've already got 3 arrows. I know the 4th signal, there it is, the 4th signal, the market tends to get some giddy up go on it. And what I'll do is I'll try to run that one out a little bit, and I've got 2 contracts in play. I should have actually just hit the manual and gone with a single contract, because my initial stop should be up here. That's where the initial stop should go. But that's okay. We'll just see how this plays out. There is going to be a pullback in here somewhere. It's just a matter of waiting for it. Anthony says no pullback, hard downtrend. No, there's always a pullback. There's always a pullback. It's just most times people aren't prepared to wait for the pullback. So here is the daily NASDAQ. And here's that little bit of a wedge that we've been watching, and you can see we had the bearish break through the support zone. The buyers are going to try to respond to that. You can see every time you have a trend line break, there's a bullish response. See, market broke here. Here's a bullish response. Now, a bullish response does not mean that the buyers are going to hold the market. In each case, you can see the market did continue a little bit lower. But whenever you break trend lines, there are buyers who still want to buy the market. So little note to self. I agree. I think that overall the market's going to head a little bit lower. This whole zone around 6,200 seems very reasonable. The really big move would be down here to 6,100. And after that, we're looking at the August lows around 57.50. Now that's substantial to be sure. Okay, we're still working our 4-arrow consolidation signal here. It's a little reluctant at the moment. There we go. Almost. So I'm at my high probability target. I may engage my stops. Get this trade to break even. bears hold the line? Nope. Not quite. Not quite yet. All right, and now we're back into yellow bars and green bars. I wonder if this is where the buyers are going to dig in. The green bar sell here on the hawk is a signal that does tend to develop toward the end of a trend. Of course, it's also a with trend signal. Or you could use it as an early warning that maybe the market's going to develop into a first micro-macro cross higher. All depending how aggressive you would like to be on the trade. I would much prefer to see a little bit more of a test of the extreme being the low down here. So maybe a little run down here to 62.75, give or take a few ticks. That would look like a reasonable retest of the low and will also give me a little bit of a head and shoulders type look to the market. The more aggressive trade, of course, is to get in early, and by that I mean on a failure here of the green bar sell. Okay, as it comes down here and retests the low, it does make it a little bit more inviting. What a mix-up we have here. All right, let's show. Oops, just ran right on past me. All right, if that stays bullish, we're going to get a first micro-macro cross signal there. And the Falcon now working a trend change signal. The Raptor is also going to come down here, retest the lows, and if it wants to continue higher, it's going to produce another number 2 signal. So we've already got the warning dot here. That's not much of a retest, is it? Let's see what's happening here on the Falcon. Oh, see the Hawk being the scalping tool, a little bit ahead of the game, a little ahead of the curve there. I'm not going to go in for the full risk amount, rather, because it is counter trend. If I'm going to try it, I'll try it with a single. And if we get above this 62.85 area, I think there's a chance that we could see it run out a little bit. Now, bear in mind the trend is down. I think that's pretty obvious. But like I said, the buyers aren't just going to walk away. There will be a pushback here from the buyers somewhere. All right, the first micro-macro cross has actually formed already. I didn't get a chance to readjust my trade. I'll leave it here. I'll look to take it on a break above the high. I'm okay with that. I know I'm giving up above 3 or 4 ticks to gain that entry, but if that's what it takes, then I'll roll my break even just a little bit further. Because as we break this, if we break this 62, 84, 85 region where you see we have all this resistance built up, there might be a little bit of a hiccup, and I'm trying to avoid getting stopped out too early. There we go. The Falcon also producing a trend change signal. Slow grind back to the hard edge of the trading band. Man, we're struggling with this 62.85 area. I thought for sure there'd be a little bit more of a pop when we got above there, but not yet. I thought with all the selling that happened at 62.85, 86, I thought once we broke through there, for sure the market would make a little bit of a hop to the upside, but oh, maybe now we're going to get a little giddy up. I guess the more active selling really occurred around the 62.90 area. All right, now we're getting a little momentum as we start to take out some of the sellers from this zone. And then, of course, as we get up here to the 62.94, 95 region, I think it's probably a good idea to get my stops in a little bit tighter. Less talking, more trading. There we go. Get that up there, and I'll only give them a couple of bars there. Because I did put myself behind the 8-ball a little bit, I'm going to go with the more aggressive bar high-low strategy. Great question here from Peter. This is actually a question I get a lot. Peter says, good morning, Eric. Well, good morning, Peter. If a trade takes a longer time to form, would you consider it to be a false signal? No, I don't. I know traders who do. And they tend to be more type A personalities, where they don't have a lot of patience for things, you know, like, let's go, let's get going, let's do it now. No. In fact, I think of it more like the market building momentum. If a bar takes a long time to form, or a signal takes a long time to form, especially on a day like today where the bars seem to be moving reasonably well, you know, like we're actually seeing some activity here. I think of it more as the market building momentum. Now, if it's like it was earlier this week, then you could just say, well, the market's just dull, maybe I'll go do something else. Or maybe I'll come back in an hour, see if they've settled in on a trend yet. But on a trade like this, just because it took, well, it actually didn't take that long. It only took about 5 minutes, 5-6 minutes. I know it seemed longer. But even though it took 5, 6, or 10 minutes to actually develop the signal, no, I would not consider it to be a poor signal just because it took a long time to develop. Now, I know, like I said, other people do. Other people will look at a signal and they'll say, that took too long, I'm not going to take the trade. And they've probably been burned on it in the past, so they're reluctant about doing those kinds of things. I think you need to take each trade for what it is, right? You got to take each trade in isolation because, quite frankly, each trade is unique. What I did wrong this morning, by the by, was not that, where did I take my trade? It was not that I attempted the buy. One second, where's my, got in at 62.99. Yeah, so it was this bad boy right here. What I did wrong on this trade was not that I took the trade, and how did I form it? Oh, maybe I did only take a single contract. Yes, I did, sorry. Bad note keeping. I was going to say what I did wrong on this trade is I took multiple contracts on a counter trend, on what is obviously a counter trend signal. But I could have managed the trade a little better, I suppose, especially when it died again on that attempt to get through the 63.02 area. I should have woke up and said, no, Eric, time to roll your stops. Could have saved myself $50, $60 if I had rolled my stops up a little bit. But took the hit. It was my choice. Good news is this next move put me almost flush. I'm still on the short end of the stick above $40, but we tend to refer to those things as rounding errors. Nicely done, Mark. Mark says banked $250 on that first micro macro cross to the upside. It is such a reliable signal most times. And it's one of those signals that I will take almost without exception, especially if you're going for your high probability profit target. It's almost a no-brainer. So we had first micro macro cross right here. That would have hit its profit target. We had a first micro macro cross right here. That hit its profit target. Of course, the first micro macro cross that I took did not hit its profit objective. And part of that is due also just because it's so early in the day. And typically, I've shared this with you before, but if I had my way, we'd probably start the trading room at the top of the hour, not on the open. Yeah, sure, sometimes you see some moves out of the open, and some decent moves too, like this morning. But even if we showed up now at the top of the hour, things have kind of settled in, and the market makes a decent move. So sure, you miss some trades. You'll always miss trades. Welcome to the wonderful world of trading. You better get used to it. It's picking your battles. I think that's the hard part. All right, well, the buyer is giving a pretty good poke here to the upside. Looks like they're going to try and hold on to that. The Raptor, while I was yakking there, actually produced a cloud crossover signal. Now, the cloud crossover signal occurs, of course, when your clouds change direction. That's element number one of your cloud crossover. Element number two is the market's going to pull back into the cloud, and the cloud is going to support the new direction, and that is your cloud crossover. The euro dollar also on a nice little tear to the upside as the European session starts to wind down a little bit. It didn't print as a number two signal because I think this whole formation down here was a little bit too extended, but it was definitely a number two counter trend signal. Remember, with the counter trend signal, the two elements are, well, number one, you need to have a trend. Number two, you need to test the trend, test the extreme, and fail. And that's when your number two signal prints. So I think, again, this was just a little too drawn out for the programming on the Raptor, but it is a number two signal all the same. Oops. Yeah, good thing I can't delete the bars on the chart. Pre-market, well, pre-market for the North American session, a nice cloud crossover signal there on the euro. So a pretty active day actually here on the euro dollar. Here in the middle of the European session, a nice reversal signal. This one's actually textbook. A nice broad band, an uptrend, Classic test of the extreme, retest of the trend, the failure, and then the market starts to unwind the other way. And a nice with trend signal as the European session gets underway. So it looks like the euro dollar having a really good night as well. And a lot of traders will be happy to see some of that volatility come back into the marketplace. Anthony's in full-on bear mode here. Anthony says the euro should drop 50 ticks. Yeah, it might. It very well might. Not right now, though. So good follow through on that number one signal here on the Raptor. As I said, when you see things like that happen, you should expect reactions, whether it be from the buyers or the sellers. Wow, that's a really strong pullback on the NASDAQ here. Recovered to the high of the morning and then some. So here was our first in sync signal. Very nice follow through. You don't normally see a V bottom like this, at least not in the Eagle, but that's exactly what we got here today. We got the trend change signal and an equally nice move to the upside. We'll see whether or not they can, if the buyers can keep it together here, or if the sellers are going to push back now that we've broken the high of the morning. Gotten partially into that huge overnight gap. Okay, Mark wrote in response to my earlier comment about how I don't like to trade the first hour or even the first half hour. Mark says, Eric, I've been done quite a few days lately, or I've had quite a few days lately where I've been done by the top of the hour because of the volatility out of the open. So essentially that first half hour of trading. I up $450 today, where all of it was made before the top of the hour. On the flip side, though, I see your point, and you can lose just as easily if you get too excited to take a trade and jump in without being able to see the market context clearly. Either way, the early trades have been good to me, so I tend to take them whenever possible. And you know, I think that just goes back to the fact that trading is a very personal business. You know, that works great for Mark. Maybe one day I'll be able to have more confidence trading out of the open. Some things are going to feel right to you, some things are going to feel wrong. You just have to do the trades that you're comfortable with. You know, some people are okay taking a scalp on a first micro macro cross, taking your trade, scalping for your $100, and they're okay with the market going on without them. Others, it drives them bonkers. You have to decide what kind of trader you are, and it's not that one is right or one is wrong. After all, at the end of the day, it is your money. It's your decision to make. You have only one person to thank or blame for your decisions, and it's not me. Although you're always welcome to thank me. We're getting our gas fireplace service this week, and by Gary's Gas here in Duncan. And Gary is quite the character. He's in his mid-70s and a very, very spry mid-70s. I would have easily put him 10 years younger than that. But when you first meet him, he has his little spiel that he does. He says, Gary's the name, gas is the game. For 35 years, it's been my claim to fame. If something goes wrong, I'm not to blame. Well, that's what I feel like saying as well. I haven't been doing it for 35 years, but I've been doing it for, let's see, since 95, so 20 years, 22 years. It's been my claim to fame, but if something goes wrong, I'm not to blame. All right, the buyers coming back here once again. This looking a little bit like a hard edge bounce here. It did come up a couple of ticks short, but if you wanted to try it, you could do it on the second push entry. The second push simply means we allow the signal to engage, and then we see where it reacts, where it flinches. And then you would set your order to buy above that level. I'm a little bit late on that particular bar. Looks like this bar here might react. Or maybe not. Maybe I'm just going to be flat out late on that. Nice follow through on the red bar buy here also. asks, can you tell me what the Raptor is for the E-mini? And Paul, you don't have to apologize. I will show you guys as often as you need to see it. Okay, the E-mini, we're going to go with the alternate settings. I know this is the Euro, but it doesn't matter. I always have one chart on the faster settings in case someone wants to see the E-mini. The regular 8-tick brick doesn't cut it. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to your data series and you're going to change your brick size to 4 instead of 8. Once you've done that, you need to make a couple of adjustments to the Raptor clouds and signal parameters as well. So from there, go to your indicator panel, find your Raptor 2.0, and then pull down here to your clouds and Hawk bricks. So we're going to go with a 4-4-6 setting. So we're going to have a 4-tick Hawk, or pardon me, a 4-tick brick. We're going to have a 4-tick Hawk, and our cloud sizes are going to be 4 and 6. If you want to make a note of this, the rough relationship between the Hawk brick size and the clouds relative to the brick size on your chart is that one cloud is going to be the same as your brick size on your chart. The other cloud is going to be 1.5 times the size of the brick, and your Hawk is going to be 75%, 0.75 the size of the brick. That should make your Hawk function correctly. You may also want to go down here and change your signal parameters SE, reset the sensitivity from 1.01 to 1.25. And when you've done all that, do yourself a favor and save a template. That way, I just call mine Raptor Fast, or Fast Raptor, or 446 Raptor, whatever you want to call it. That way, next time you load your E-mini chart, you won't have to rebuild it. But if you remember 4, 4, and 6, those are going to be the settings, the faster settings. And that's because the E-mini trades at $12.50 a tick. You would use the same settings if you were trading soybeans, which also trade at $12.50 a tick. The 30-year bond, depending how active it is, you may have to scale it down even more and go to a 2-4-4. We've never done anything tighter than that. But yeah, the $31 on the 30-year bond, and this kind of sluggish nature of the bonds occasionally requires an even smaller brick, faster settings. All right, we've made a huge move here to the upside, and we're kind of in the thick of it now, back in this 63.10, 63.15 area. And it's almost starting to look like the sellers are going to push back. Okay, got a little bit of a macro pullback forming. One thing I've always appreciated about day trading is you can actually see how the market is unfolding. You know, all that momentum that we saw earlier, you can just tell by how fast or slow the bars are unwinding that maybe there's a reluctance to move the market higher. Is there going to be a little swing in momentum here? Okay, the hawk now into yellow bars. The falcon trend line already changing over a little bit. The eagle actually producing a red dot here, so that's kind of bearish. Are we going to get a red bar buy out of that? Normally we see a little bit of a test to the extreme here before the market tries to reverse on itself. And honestly, between the overnight low and the reversal this morning higher, it's getting a little tough to say who is in control of the market. Bears obviously held the market through the overnight, but the bulls have shown up with a vengeance this morning. It's possible that the hawk is going to make a 4-arrow consolidation here. There's the fourth signal right there, getting ready to print. We've got the warning dot. We don't have the signal yet. 1, 2, 3. Here's number 4. This tends to have pretty good follow through for the most part. And when I say stuff like that, I'm always referring to reaching the high probability profit objective. I don't necessarily mean that the market will take off to the moon from here, although, you know, it might. There's certainly enough room to move to get into that gap. That would be one for the books if the market fills that gap today. What was that, like a 40-point gap off of the open? Now we're into a red bar buy signal. These not quite as dominant, but it would also coincide with the 4-arrow consolidation. Red bar buy signals do tend to develop toward the end of a trend, and you typically only get 2 within a trend. So that makes this one even more suspect. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to let that one go. Why ask for trouble, eh? Oh, there's my Canadian slipping out. I was down in Vegas 1 year playing craps and rolled the dice a few times, and the dealer says, "So, where in Canada are you from?" And I said, "How did you know I was Canadian?" He said, "You just said A." And I said, "Oh, I was trying so hard not to." Can't help it. It slips out. All right, first micro macro cross to the downside. It looks like the sellers are going to give it a push. So, and I may try to run this out here back to the 95 area, which was so dominant before. And you see, I've moved my break even to this low right here because I'm anticipating a reaction. After all, this is where the buyers got busy. May as well take my stop to break even at that point. And I've hit my high probability profit objective, but I'm trying to sneak a couple of ticks out of the trade. Come on, baby. Be nice. All right. Enough of that. Yeah, that's all you get, that one bar. Funny thing is, if it breaks this low, if it breaks 62.97, it will probably have a little bit more follow through. Like I said, it's likely to get to the 62, 94, 95 area. That's the zone that gave us all the trouble before. But that's all right. I'll take the tag. A little better than break even. Yes, and Russell reminding me the other telltale Canadian giveaway is we're always apologizing. Oh, sorry about that. And it's funny, you know, once somebody points it out to you, you you see how often you actually do it. A friend of mine who's British, she likes to she likes to tell me that Canadians are more passive aggressive. We won't actually get in your face, but it's not above us to make some sort of underhanded remark at your expense. So there you go. Oh, maybe I did bail too early. Look at this, the Geiger counter pulling here hard to the short side. Doggone it. Rod says passive aggressive is correct. I'm married to a Canadian. Yeah, it's another one of those things that I wasn't even aware of until, like I said, my British friend pointed it out to me. She says, "Oh yeah, you Canadians, you're all passive aggressive." I guess we all have our little national quirks, don't we? Quora is a website I like to frequent from time to time, and I don't know how I got onto it, but somebody asked a question regarding Germans. You know, what I guess they were going to Germany or whatever the case doesn't matter. But they were saying how Germans don't really joke. They don't really joke around a lot. So I guess that's more a North American thing, you know, where you make some wisecrack remark or something. That's not a German thing, apparently. And how when we greet each other, you know, we usually say, "Hi, how are you?" Well, if you said that in Germany, they would actually tell you, "Oh, you know, my back hurts or my feet hurt or whatever." So a little note to self. Nicely done, Peter. Peter says, "Eric, I moved to Toronto from Calgary because I found I traded better early in the morning. Now I trade at 7:30 and not 9:30. Oh, moved from Toronto to Calgary. I think I said from Calgary to Toronto. Moved from Toronto to Calgary because I found I traded better early in the morning." See, again, that's what's working for Peter. Peter's a morning person. Me, not so much. But at any rate, he says, I say A in Calgary, and everyone says, "Are you from Toronto?" Just made $400 on the big move up. Nicely done. One and done. No more than 3 trades a day. Well done, Peter. Yeah, see, Akeem, I know you're in Germany. Akeem says, "You're kidding, of course. We make jokes in Germany as well, perhaps not that often." Yeah, it was funny, though, that Quora post that I read, because my parents are German heritage, and it just kind of made sense when I read that. Not having been to Germany myself, I thought, oh, okay, it's a national thing. And it's not that my parents aren't funny; they're very funny, especially my uncle. Oh my goodness! But that's a whole other story. All right, so the market did drift down here to 62.95 as I thought it might. I jumped out of the trade a little bit too early. Got a got a little chicken on it. Oh well. At least I did a little better than a break-even stop out. Hey, anytime you can take money out of the market, right? It's going to be a good day. Consistency, that's what we're after. Doesn't matter if it's $50 or $500. So long as you're banking that profit, banking something in the black, then it's just a matter of repetition, a matter of adding to what you're doing. And I'm not talking about trading more often, rather increasing the size. So many people get discouraged when they say, oh, well, I'm only making $50 a day trading. And they don't realize, hey, you're on the cusp of making a lot of money. There's a lot of professional traders that won't make $50 a day per contract trading. Okay, so I think what we're looking at now is the market's in the middle of the trading range, so we're a little bit undecided. And I bet you if I shoot a fib level across here, we're going to be somewhere around the 50% mark. Sure enough. Pretty darn close. Yeah, 50% right here at 62.93. So this is where traders are naturally going to be drawn into trying to buy the market back up. So this is why trading in the middle of the daily range is so difficult. Is this a continuation of a bear market, or is this the development of a new bull market? Well, if the buyers are serious, this is where they need to step up, right? This is where they need to get busy and start buying. That's why we saw the market pause here near the 50% level. This is why fib levels tend to work from time to time. It's not that the market has hit that 62% retracement. No, not at all. But the fact is, there was some buying going on here. So if you're a buyer, where are you going to look to buy again? You're probably going to look to buy here. It's just what they do. Well, see the hawk drifting into yellow bars again. Falcon trend line starting to change. The Raptor may actually even give us a number 2 signal here if we produce a buy signal before the clouds start to cross. This is very much a crapshoot. You know, this is your 50-50 proposition. Because we're in the middle of the trading range, it can go either way from here. If you believe the buyers are stronger, then you can look to buy. This is a number 2 signal, by the way, even though it did not print. If you believe the sellers are stronger, then you can look to short on perhaps a hard edge bounce. And if you can't make up your mind, well, then you just wait. Never costs you anything to wait. Yes, I know there's opportunity costs, but those aren't real. When the money actually leaves your account, that's a real cost. Those are the ones you're looking to avoid. If the buyers are serious about rallying the market at this point, we should get one more attempt to rally the market up. That's going to result in a number one signal on the Raptor. It's going to produce a a trend change signal here on the Falcon, and it's going to confirm our first micro macro cross here on the Raptor or the Hawk. So I'm getting too many things going on here. Ooh, I don't know if I want to do that for the full amount. Let's do one of those. And I'm merely entering above the high because I'm a little bit late on the first micro macro cross. And once again, this is very aggressive on my part. Very, very aggressive. All right, what do we think? Is there a chance we'll see it move back toward the high of the morning? I suppose there's always a chance. There's been a little bit more momentum in the market, so maybe I'll try something a little bit more on the swing side versus the scalp side, try to reach a little bit further. Okay, haven't confirmed the crossovers yet on the Falcon or the Raptor, but that's kind of par. The Hawk is going to be a little bit more aggressive, a little bit faster on these kinds of things. Come on, get up there. Well, whatever momentum we had early on seems to have drained out of the market. And I suppose that's just kind of the nature of the market as we get closer toward the lunch hour. As traders head off for their 3 martini lunches. Come on, you can do it. here on the hawk, by the way. This first micro macro cross is now drifting into a 4-arrow consolidation. So if I can print this fourth signal, there's a chance I'm going to get a little bit of follow through. Oh, come on. You were doing so well there for a moment. Yeah, see, there you go. Stuck in the middle. Stuck in the middle of the daily range. The worst place to trade, I think. Well, we'll hang with this for a little longer. You'll note that the ranges are consolidating a little bit now. We're getting a little bit of a bearish pushback because how much you want to bet that falls in 50% of the recent downtrend. Oh, and look at that, right in the neighborhood. So that's, again, the problem with trading mid-range, and you should be aware of it, is that the market's going to be more indecisive here. It's going to struggle until one side becomes dominant. All right, got the 4-arrow consolidation now, signal here on the hawk. So at the very least, I would anticipate a move to my high probability profit objective, which is going to be at 5306, I believe. Yeah, 5306. So I could have the trade to break even. Let's see if we'll go to break even on the other side of 5306. Let's see if I get a retest to the high of the day. And I'm going to get ready with my more aggressive stop strategy. Sure, why not? Okay. All right, well, maybe I was a little bit too aggressive with that one. Again, where would parabolics be at? Parabolics would still have me in the trade at break even. But it's just, we're in that area. We're in that area where the market can flip on me either way, so I'll take my 30, 40 bucks and be happy with that. All right, gang, reminder for those of you who came in a little bit later, no trading room on Monday. However, I will see you again tomorrow morning. We'll talk to you then. Bye for now.